Welcome to Waxing Comical. It's me, Luke, again.
I'm Dane.
And Dane's here.
Also.
I hope you're not sick of our voices yet.
Disappointed with us like our fathers.
Unless this is the first time you're listening to this, which would be weird because this is not the first episode, and hopefully you can
Far from
count.
it. At least 6 from it, I think.
This will be the 8th, yes.
I said at least 6.
Yeah.
Just let me have this.
I wasn't arguing with you.
It kind of came off that way.
We have fun.
We like to have fun here.
We kid. This episode we're talking about Captain America, so if you don't like this
Strap in.
episode, you're un-American.
Yeah, nice try, Al-Qaeda. Busted. Is Al-Qaeda still a thing?
Yeah, I haven't heard about Al-Qaeda in a long time.
Nice try, ISIS.
ISIS
Busted.
is the new big thing.
The new big thing. So yeah, we're going to talk about specifically Ed Brubaker's run, which started in I want to say 2005,
Yeah.
and brought Bucky back to life as the Winter Soldier. And if you don't know what the story, if you've read it, you'll be fine. But if you have not read it, this is going to be blithering nonsense to you because we just kind of jump all over.
Which is not to say that you shouldn't listen to this if you
Yeah,
haven't
totally
read
listen
it.
to it because it's probably very entertaining. That's kind of what we pride ourselves on. No big deal.
It's our shtick. I think this is Volume 5 of Captain America.
Yeah,
If you
probably.
search for Captain America Volume 5, that's where this starts.
Yeah, and it starts with the Winter Soldier, which is 13 issues. There's issue 10 that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So it technically ends at issue 14, but it's 13 issues long.
Yeah, which you can get on Amazon for $17 right now, and it's a
Yeah, it's great. It's
Real
so
good
good
deal.
too. The art's fantastic. It's like a sweet-ass political thriller. And Captain America the Winter Soldier movie was based on it, just kind of barely.
No, it wasn't.
I said barely.
Don't fool these people. It has the same name. That's about it.
And it has the line, "Who the hell is Bucky?" Oh man, that happened in the Winter Soldier comic book.
Someone else said, "Who the hell is Bucky?"
Yeah. Because Natasha, Black Widow, got brainwashed to think that she had always been a double agent or whatever. And Bucky is he's like, Natasha, it's Bucky, it's James, and she just goes, "Who the hell is Bucky?"
I thought it was just going to be, Natasha, who the hell is Bucky?
I didn't say that. Yeah, that's a good comic. I'm on the 4th volume now, which is Jason Latour. Did 5 issues, then it ended.
I don't know who that is.
He does the art for, I was about to say Sex Criminals. He does the art for Southern Bastards.
Which is a Jason Aaron comic, right?
Jason Aaron, and it's real good.
Cool.
It is cool.
I guess as far as other shout-outs to things I've read recently, I just read We Three by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely.
Frank Quitely.
And I liked it. It was good. It's about... It's like Homeward Bound plus Iron Man. It's about 3 animals that have robotic suits and are used as weapons by the government, and they escape. And the hijinks that ensue.
Depressing hijinks that ensue as they slowly run out of the high from their medicine that keeps them alive.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. I would have liked it if it was longer. It's 3 issues.
Yeah, it's only 3 issues. It's I want to buy the book, but it's also it's only 3 issues. I don't know if I want to spend money on just 3 issues. I'm sure I will at some point. I'll find it cheap. I mean, it's Frank Quitely's art, so it's worth it.
Yeah, and it's probably the least weird story I've read of Grant Morrison's. He's kind of the David Lynch of comic books.
But with a more hilarious voice. Because he's Scottish.
That's true. He is Scottish. All right. So, yeah, Captain America.
We Three, Southern Bastards, which is going to be a TV show. FX picks it up.
Oh, well, then I'll definitely have to read it.
Yeah.
And so will you, America.
You bastards.
I assume we're not getting any international audience yet.
No, of course not. That'd be crazy. Damn French and Spaniards,
Hey,
I guess.
Captain America loves the French. He talks about that in this comic.
He does, unless Mark Miller's writing him in the Ultimate Universe, and then he just insults them incessantly.
A different Captain America.
That Captain America is kind of like an 80s high school bully.
Maybe we'll talk about that Captain America in another episode.
Yeah.
Enjoy the show.
Enjoy it. I'm nearing the end of the Bucky Cap era. It's very sad.
I'm near the beginning of that. It's still pretty sad, I guess. It's pretty sad all the way through. Yeah, Captain America's not really a lighthearted comic.
A lighthearted romp. No, it's pretty dark.
Yeah, it's going to be when it's a character who his entire, story is based around everyone he knows dying years ago.
Man at a time. I love that phrase. I love when they said it in the Avengers when Loki was like, the man out of time, and he's like, I'm not the one who's out of time, and then he punches him or something.
No, that's not what I meant. It was a play on words. 70 years and you haven't picked up on the subtleties of the American language.
Well, Cap's pretty sharp as attack for a guy who was frozen for so long and is from the 40s.
Yeah,
he's pretty good at being sarcastic.
So he was frozen for a long time. Doesn't that usually result in, I don't know, some kind of brain damage?
Yeah, it makes him good at jokes.
Like, what if
he wasn't that in the war?
What if he was just always on like a 5-second delay? Like he responded to everything anyone said just a few seconds too late.
And he never made like real eye contact. He always had like a glassy look in his eyes. Like he was always looking like over you or through you.
Well, I mean, that's just to be expected. He's a veteran.
Cap could just be real unsettling if they wanted him to be.
I was in wars, you know.
Oh my god, the new Nathan For You was like a horror movie. Like, it could have easily been a horror movie if not for the fact that it's a comedy show. He, like, picked this dude to make him into a hero by having him walk across a tightrope between two buildings.
I thought you were going to say ingesting radioactive chemicals.
A superhero. But the plan was that he would like sequester the guy away into the desert for a few days, and he would pretend to be the guy, and then he would do the tightrope walk, and then the guy would like come out of a tent at the end of it, and they would like switch places basically.
Like in The Prestige.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen that, but David Bowie. So he had like a mask made of the guy's face and wore
Jesus.
it, and like went around like living his life, and like he went on a radio show for an interview, and he hung out in a bar and went on like an online date. It was very unsettling.
Oh god. Was it like a well done mask? Like
it's well done. It just like it looked enough like the guy, but it also kind of looked like if the guy was like 30 years older and also a serial killer.
So like Bad Grandpa.
Yeah,
just Johnny Knoxville with an old man's face on his face.
This is Nathan Fielder with like a kind of chubby guy. Like it was like inside of a chubby guy because he also had like a bodysuit.
I think that was the working title for the show. Nathan Fielder inside a chubby guy.
A lot of prison rape. So Captain America.
Captain America. Has Captain America... I would assume... Okay, so let's see. He was in World War II, and when did he go down?
Right before the war ended in 45.
So 45. So let's say he was in the whole war. That's what, like 5-6 years, right?
4.
4 years. World War II start in 41?
It did for us.
Fair enough. All right, that day that we're supposed to not forget.
Yeah, it was like a few weeks ago. 70th anniversary, you asshole.
It was a week ago.
Give a crap.
Anyway.
Well, him and Bucky were... I don't remember what year they actually started, like, bucking. It's weird, like, because they did fight crime in America at first. They fought like dissidents and Nazi spies and stuff. But Bucky is 16 when he joins Cap, and he was supposed to be like had just turned 20 when he died. so that's 4 years. So they would have had to have met in 41. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
But then
that makes sense.
Pearl Harbor's what was it? November. So I guess they could have like met early in the year and then fought crime for a few months and then went to the war.
Yeah. Well, because I was wondering, like, so let's say 4 years of World War II, which is no picnic, obviously, but
Well, if you're a super soldier.
well, yeah, it was probably pretty easy for him. Bucky had it rough.
Yeah,
But,
Bucky had it real rough, but he was also rad.
And he still is.
Still is.
Well, at least I assume he is. I haven't read the most recent series because
I have it. I haven't read it yet. He's in. God, he's in something. I saw him on a cover.
It was Space.
An issue of Sam Wilson Captain America. He's on a cover. I think it's like it ties into that Avengers standoff thing that Nick Spencer's doing. I want to say he's on a cover for that. It's just like it's not so much an event as it is like a crossover. Like it's just an issue of Avengers, an issue of Captain America, and whatever. And he's in a Secret Wars series. That doesn't mean anything. He's in like the Red Skull series that came out, which I want to read.
I mean, I'll read it, but just every time I hear something new about Secret Wars, it feels like it is just making less and less of an impact. Like,
well, this is Joshua Williamson, the guy who does like Birthright and Nailbiter. So that's the only reason I'm going to read it. It's not just Bucky. Like that's a factor, but it's like, oh well, I like this writer, so
just
even
Bucky
if it doesn't
would
matter,
probably be enough for me to read something.
Even if it doesn't end up mattering in the long run, it's probably going to be entertaining.
Yeah, but anyway, what I was getting at was that let's see. So Cap has now been unfrozen for in our time, like what, 20 years? 10 years?
In Winter Soldier, they mention him being out for over 10 years, so we can it's probably like 11.
And how long has it been since that to today? Like in comic time?
It's hard to say because I mean they had the 1 year anniversary of his death in the comics, like within 25 issues. It had been a year because I mean the Death of Captain America comic or like that actual story took place over at least 3 months. And then, like an issue, like right before the anniversary was 9 months after his death. And then they pretty much just, went through 3 months, which I'm guessing is like Bucky's adventures with the New Avengers and stuff. And all the Dark Reign stuff. And I feel like in some comic, it might have been an Iron Man series, they mentioned how like Civil War and Secret Invasion and Siege and stuff had all happened like pretty close together. Like in the comics, it was like over the course of 4 or 5 years.
This has been a real rough week for us guys.
But in the comic world, I think all of that had taken place in like a year.
Well, even with just those 10 years that he has been out, like when this series started, like do you think he ever brings up World War II anymore, like as something important? Because
he seems to think about it a lot.
He and everyone else has been through like these universal catastrophes for the past decade, and at that point,
realistically,
World War II just is not that important.
Pales in comparison.
Yeah.
Realistically, he wouldn't like give it a second thought. Like these days, like he's been through intergalactic wars, at least 2 of them.
Yeah.
But because it's World War II and it's such a thing, then like for the narrative, he has to like think about it a lot. I mean, for God's sake, he was in Dimension Z for 10 years.
Yeah.
Or 11 or whatever.
Yeah, that changed him a little bit. He got a beard and then went back to normal, I guess.
Yeah, like just didn't age. And he was like, I'm not going to tell anybody because I didn't age, so that kind of gives me an out.
So why does Ed Brubaker always say Croesus?
I don't know, because it's come up 3 times so far.
Yeah, which is way too many times for anyone to use a word.
In a little over 50 issues, it's come up 3 times.
That no one else has ever used.
With 3 different characters. It's not like just one character that says it a lot.
Yeah.
3 Nick Fury and 2 Hicks so far have said Croesus.
2 Hicks. I don't get it. It's one of those. I guess I'm really finally starting to notice patterns in different authors' writings.
Well, that's good. You're learning.
Yeah, because he likes to say Croesus, and Brubaker also likes to do, like he'll show someone already halfway through a conversation, Like the first panel that someone is speaking in, they're already in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, I've noticed it with any main characters. I'm sure that happens too. But a lot of the time, if like someone's sneaking around somewhere, you'll catch like a little bit of what some guards are saying, and usually it's hilarious. Like one guy was talking about getting or having hair plugs and how nobody could tell.
I think it was at least one of the times it was with Sharon, Agent 13. But I don't remember. I feel like I've seen it a few times. I'm only in like issue 8 right now, or just finished issue 8. So it's happened a few times. It also took longer than I remembered to bring up Bucky in the first place.
The most important character in that run.
Like it's the Winter Soldier arc, and it's like 6 issues in, I think, that they're like, oh, by the way, it's Bucky, which it is pretty anticlimactic.
When you know.
Yeah, and in the movie, they have the big. I think in the movie they don't find out until Captain America's fighting him, right? And his mask comes off.
He throws him over his shoulder by his jaw, and that makes his mask come off. And he's like, Bucky? And he's like, who the hell is Bucky? I was like, oh, that hurt.
Which, it's a nice line, but reading it again, I realized it's a really weird thing for someone in Bucky's situation to say. Like, he's this, super spy, undercover, Russian agent, and this random guy asks if he's Bucky, and he wants to stop and be like, who the hell's Bucky? Is he going to answer? Does he want to know who this guy thinks Bucky is? Is this like...
it's probably just because he called him Bucky.
Yeah.
And not just saying the word near him sets him off.
Yeah, but like, I would think, his priority would be to get away from the super soldier. Instead of standing around.
It's probably also the guy calling him Bucky.
Making chit-chat.
Like it's Captain America, his best bud,
yeah,
saying
but he doesn't
Bucky.
know who he is at that point.
And that's gonna... all that stuff's still in there.
Yeah, well.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not super sure how that brain damage worked. Because he wasn't, retarded.
See, Bucky got brain damage from the freezing water.
Yeah, because he didn't have super soldier serum, and he was dead. They had to revive him.
Everybody in Marvel has been dead at least once.
Yeah, but most of them have superpowers.
That's true.
Or they come back or die via magical means. This was just freezing to death in water, and then Russian scientists bringing him back with CPR.
Which worked pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they got a super awesome soldier out of it with a sweet metal arm.
He hasn't aged a day.
He's aged like 10 years.
Yeah, whatever.
Depending on the artist, like when Luke Ross draws him, he does like more of the later half of Bucky Cap, along with Butch Guice. When he draws him, he looks like he's about he could easily be like 25. But when like Steve Epting draws him, he looks about 45 sometimes.
He does.
And then Butch Guice is all over the place.
Yeah, because he should only be 25 around.
He should be, if he was 20 when he went under, he should look. I want to say 28 or 29.
They mention him having aged 5 years between 1955 and 1976.
Yeah, and then he aged 3 more years at least.
Yeah. Between 76
because that
and
dude,
2005.
the Russian, took him out and just kept him with him for 3 years, and then he went back under for good, basically until the present. So he's like from the time of him getting his memories back, he's probably physically 28 to 29.
Yeah. How old is Cap, for that matter, at this point?
Physically?
Yeah.
Well, he's 4 years older than Bucky, so he was 24 when he went in the water. And he's been out for at least, I'd say 35, 36, physically.
Well, he looks great.
Sometimes. He looks okay. He's muscular, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
He's got a rockin' bod.
Isn't that what the women want?
That's all they want, literally.
Women, Dane. All of the women.
All of the women. There's not a one who doesn't. And I'm stating that legally as a fact.
You heard it here. So, I'm still a little unclear on the whole timeline of the various Captain Americas, which they explain a little bit in this comic, but I think there's still one or two that's unaccounted for. So Steve Rogers is the original Captain America. He and Bucky apparently die in 1945, and get frozen. But like in the original comics, back when they were being made in the 40s, did that happen, or did...
No, not until the 60s when Stan Lee brought him into the Avengers.
Okay.
They had like a whole origin issue. Because, I mean, like, because his comic continued, and he was fighting communists in America in the 50s,
yeah.
And they retconned, so that was a different guy.
So the being frozen happened in the 60s, or was introduced in the 60s as a story thing?
Mm-hmm.
And that was when they first started saying...
He'd only been frozen for like 20 years, so I'm sure the man at a time thing didn't work as well.
My God, there's payphones in every corner.
Things are slightly less terrible.
Nothing's quite as sepia as I remember it. So then when he got frozen, he was replaced by some other guy.
God, there were two of them. There was, I forgot. I want to say Fred Davis was one of them, maybe, or was he the second Bucky?
The first Bucky was Jack Monroe, right?
The first Bucky was Bucky Barnes.
His first replacement Bucky, you know what I mean.
No, he was the 50s Cap Bucky. They were the crazy ones. Based on that timeline, Steve Rogers, I can't remember if him or Isaiah Bradley were the first Captain America, but you know what I mean. And then and then there were two Captain Americas, those other two guys, and then so that makes basically the fourth Captain America. Okay, the fourth white Captain America was the crazy Captain America from later on in Brubaker's run.
Sam Wilson didn't become Captain America until after that, so you don't have to specify him as being white.
Well, because I'm not sure if Isaiah Bradley was the first or the second Captain America. Like, I can never remember. Because he was retconned into existence, so the timelines for me isn't super clear because I haven't read much with him.
Yeah, they keep changing shit around.
I'm not sure how old the Falcon's supposed to be. Because, like, in Brubaker's run, I would easily put him, like, mid-40s. Maybe mid-30s, but it depends on the artist as well. Like, again, Steve Epting likes to draw people who were, like, in their, Bucky, 28 or so, and looks at like a 35-year-old man.
Gives him character.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how old the Falcon... Because, like, in Brubaker's run, when he's, like, partners with Bucky sometimes, he comes off, like, a lot older than he probably is. So, like, now that he doesn't have his goatee and he's Captain America, he looks like he could be... Like, you could say, like, oh, he's 25, and I'd be like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. It's a sliding timeline. It just slides backwards sometimes.
I was going to say backsliding timeline.
Makes sense.
And then again, Bucky's hair grew within the space of, like, 2 panels to, like, long hair length during Original Sin. So who knows how time works there. Yeah, he had, like, normal hair the whole time. And then when it showed him as, like, the new man on the wall, he suddenly had, like, his Winter Soldier long hair.
Was that when he was, like, just suddenly in space, or was...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, time could have passed. You don't know.
Yeah. Space wig.
I love Bucky so much, but I just could not get into that series. What was it? It was just Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier.
Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. It's not that I think Marco Rudy is a bad artist. Like, I think he's got...
totally do.
No, I think he's got the skill. Like, I think he could do good art. It's just that his layouts are all terrible. Like, he wants to be real unique and avant-garde with it, and instead of just doing, like, a regular 6-panel page, it'll be, like, a spider web, where each little section is a panel. Or a whirlpool, and you have to go around the corners and into the middle, and it's just... I don't know. I think that, like, that kind of stuff can work sometimes, but not when he does it.
Mm-hmm. I liked Rick Remender's Bitter March.
I still haven't read that.
It's good, though Bucky has long hair, and I think that was before, chronologically, he had long hair, so it kind of annoys me.
Maybe it was a wig. He goes undercover a lot.
And it did have a little bit of, like, him, not totally being under control, so that's fun. But, yeah, long hair.
His goddamn mind.
It was based in, like, the 60s, And I don't think he grew his hair out until the 70s when he broke free for like a few months. You know what? Maybe he does have like super hair growing power, because I'm pretty sure that he was supposed to have been like. I think later on they did say that he was off the grid for like 6 months, but in the actual Winter Soldier storyline, when they show it, it says the only time they actually say for how long he was out was 2 weeks, and he suddenly got long hair. But I'm not sure, because they say the thing they actually say is he was off the grid for 2 weeks, but I don't know if that means he was gone for 2 weeks or we tracked him for months and then he just disappeared for 2 weeks and then we found him again. So I don't know.
Did he have
it's
to
little
register?
Things like that bother me.
Did he have to register during the Civil War?
No, he continued as an unregistered hero even when he became Captain
America. He
America.
doesn't have powers.
No, he was illegally unregistered. That was the deal with Tony Stark. He said the two conditions of him becoming Captain America was that he gets all the Winter Soldier implants and like safe safe words out of his head, because Bucky doesn't believe in safe words, and that he's not accountable to anybody. So even though Tony is helping him become Captain America, he doesn't answer to him.
Also, he's not accountable for all those people he blew up earlier.
Also that. Well, he wasn't in control. He just remembers all of it, so he's just hates himself a lot.
That crushing guilt.
Which is why he was the best Captain America, because he was trying to redeem himself.
Prove,
yeah, Steve Rogers is cool, but at the end of the day, he's the perfect man because he's white.
The John Cena of superheroes.
Except pretty. John Cena he's not a good looking man.
He looks kind of like a thumb.
Like a gorilla. A gorilla's thumb.
Like Brock Lesnar.
Nice guy.
But, 5 years ago or something. A little bit younger. More of a neck.
With a neck. What was I saying?
Shit, I don't know. Why Bucky was such a great Captain America?
Yeah, Bucky, he deserves it, because he needs to, redeem himself. Cap is just, so good all the time that, he doesn't need to be Captain America. That's like Bucky has to do it, because he has to atone for all the crap he did as Winter Soldier. And then Captain Falcon. Why?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that.
Just get rid of the wings. That's all I ask. Then he's Captain America. He's not Captain America if he's got wings.
What if he's forgotten how to walk?
His legs are all atrophied.
Yeah, he's had the wings for so long. He doesn't know any other life. Or what if he took the wings off and then what's his name? The bird, Redwing.
Redwing.
Just couldn't look him in the eye anymore.
Couldn't transfer its thoughts into his head anymore.
Yeah. It's all in the wings.
So I think Bucky was the most deserving and best Captain America.
Yeah. You think that'll...
Also, his costume was the sweetest.
Vaguely remember it. Wasn't it looked more like a flag?
It was more metallic.
Yeah.
And triangular.
As opposed to Captain America's, which just kind of looked like padding.
His looked like scale armor. Yeah. Depending on the artist. Sometimes they would draw it.
Which is kind of weird.
Sometimes it just looks like a t-shirt.
It doesn't look like, like something American soldiers would wear.
No, but Captain America soldiers would. Yeah. Dragon Man. Maybe it's from Atlantis or something, because I'm pretty sure that Namor's Speedo is made of the same kind of thing, but green.
Yeah, except
during the war.
I assume that doesn't really have any armor capabilities because it's the
you don't know that.
Because it's the only
yeah, exactly.
Thing he
so
wears.
He needs to make sure it doesn't come off in the middle of a battle when they're fighting the Jerrys.
The fact that that's all he's wearing makes me think he's not too concerned about people seeing him exposed.
Not his dick.
No.
Or the crack of his arse.
I mean, he'd probably be proud of it. He's pretty arrogant about everything else.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's why he's so arrogant about everything.
That's why
because he's very insecure about his shrimp penis because he lives in the ocean.
Yeah. It's real cold down there.
I do like his interactions with Bucky, Namor, after he finds out he's alive. Because he's such a dick to him, but he's not quite as much of a dick as he is to everybody else.
That's how you know Namor respects you, that he
is
just slightly less of a dick.
when Bucky asked him like what he thought about him becoming Captain America, he was like, "I guess Rogers would approve," and he's like, "That's as close as I'm going to get to an approval from Namor."
Isn't it, Namor? Fuck you, Bucky.
I love you too.
So you think Cap's gonna die in the next movie?
No, I think he'll go to prison, or he'll fake his death like Nick Fury, go underground.
Those could both work.
Yeah,
go underground into prison.
Either way, I hope that Bucky becomes Captain America. Whatever happens, I want Bucky Cap.
That's the real issue there.
They can just write him out, like, he can just disappear from the movie and nobody mentions him ever again. And I'd be fine with that if we get Bucky Cap.
I don't think that'll happen.
Let me dream.
Also, do you think they'll try to put him into the Avengers, Bucky, and just not tell anyone and see if they notice?
So yeah, Cap's got a different costume and jawline.
But he keeps it on always now. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because nobody really has a secret identity in Marvel, except for Daredevil. And Spider-Man, now I guess.
Maybe the Hulk?
Yeah, maybe the Hulk. Maybe Ant-Man, also. But, like...
Well, Ant-Man's also not done anything high profile. Like,
yeah.
He just kind of had a... That
but he'll be in Civil War.
Huh?
He'll be in Civil War.
Well, yeah, but I mean, so far Ant-Man just kind of had an internal dispute at his company.
His company?
Well, other Ant-Man's company.
So weren't we supposed to, like, talk about the actual plot of the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, I forgot about that. It's not a whole lot like the movie at all.
Yeah, the movie just used elements of it.
The fact that like Bucky exists.
Anybody who and the "Who the hell is Bucky" line. Anybody who like saw the movie, because they re-released the book, like a big old hardcover. Like anybody who saw the movie and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go read that comic," that'll be like in the movie. They'll be like, "The hell's a cosmic cube? Why is Nick Fury white?
Everything's wrong." So let's see. You probably remember a lot more than I do because I haven't read it in a while and only got the first 14 issues recently. Basically, let's see what happens. There's some bombings around the city. Okay, let's see. From the beginning, Red Skull, Captain America's longtime enemy,
shot to death by the Winter Soldier.
But we don't know that yet. It's just by
he's holding a cosmic cube at the time. That's like all fractured and broken. Because in the comics, when we say cosmic cube, we mean Tesseract from the movies.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that
but it actually does stuff in the comics. Like in the movies, it just powers up stuff. Like it's just a battery.
Yeah.
But in the comics, it's basically an infinity gauntlet. Like you hold it and you can change reality. Yeah, so it's a wishing cube. You hold it and you can like change reality and stuff and do whatever. Which is actually I'm gonna jump ahead to the last issue. When like in the movie, Captain America is just like, "Hey Bucky, remember who you are?" And Bucky's like, "Okay, Cap." But in the comic, he actually has to use the cosmic cube and like force him, like shift reality to make him remember who he is, like to fix his brain. So there were some people that thought that he wasn't actually Bucky the whole time. That Cap just like made him think he was Bucky, and Brubaker was like, "No, that's stupid. No,
you
like
idiots."
The simplest answer is usually the best one. Like it's Bucky. He just made him remember who he was. That's it. He didn't.
It's Bucky. He's just been through a lot of shit.
Yeah, like he didn't just force Bucky's memories into some poor guy.
But what if he had, like crazy Jack Monroe?
So yeah, Red Skull dies at the end of the first issue. And that was like this is like the issue 1 of this run of Cap. This is like volume 4 or 5 of Captain America since the 60s or whatever.
And then Bucky goes around and plants some bombs, or at least one of them, in what was it, like in New York, Paris, London, and then another one in Philadelphia.
I don't think it was Bucky, because he wasn't. No, this is Red Skull's people, because Bucky wasn't. He was working for Alexander Lukin, who was like the this Russian business guy.
He was a soldier, I think, because he worked.
Yeah, well, no, he wasn't. Well, I don't know when he was a soldier, if he was, but he was like a kid during World War II, and his village got destroyed.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking of the other
which
guy.
is what he named his company after, the Cronus Corporation.
Yeah.
His mentor was the one who, like, his people found Bucky.
Yeah.
God, we're jumping all over the goddamn place here. Okay.
There's
Bucky
a lot of
and Captain
flashbacks.
America. Yeah, in the comic, instead of Bucky falling off a train into a river, because that makes your arm fall off,
he falls off a plane into the ocean.
Well, he is caught in an explosion also, so that could have had something to do with it. Not just fall off a train into a river and now your arm's off.
Plane into an ocean. It's different.
Him and Cap were on like a drone plane, like an experimental drone plane that was going to go and blow stuff up. And
so basically a missile.
Yeah, but with wings. So Cap drops off and he's like, Bucky, drop off. And Bucky's like, I'm stuck. So he goes with it, and everyone thought, until this point, Bucky had just died. Like, he exploded and that was it. And that was Stan Lee's reasoning for why we don't have, like, kid sidekicks in Marvel like they do in DC. Because this happened to Bucky.
Do you see what happens?
Do you see? I
Excelsior.
just watched that episode the other day. The South Park. So he explodes, but it turns out that, like throughout the storyline, Lucan is using the Cosmic Cube to screw with Captain America's head. In, like, the opposite way you would expect. Like, he's not putting in fake memories. He's giving him, like, his real memories. Because Cap has, like, a running like, inner monologue the whole time where he's like, sometimes these memories get so, I hear so many versions of them that I forget what's real, because apparently a super soldier doesn't have, like, a steel trap for a mind.
Yeah.
So he's got, all these conflicting memories, because he's seeing the stuff that really happened, like him and Bucky getting tortured, and then Bucky getting stuck on the missile. And he's like, no, that's not...
He's, like, full-on hallucinating this stuff.
Yeah, he's, like, straight up seeing it, and he gets attacked by, like, ghost Nazis. So he's like, no, that's not how it happened. Blah, 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 whatever. This is what happened. And it turns out, like, the things that he's seeing is what actually happened. Because I don't remember what it was. It was, like, his version of it was that Bucky insisted on, like, disarming the thing. But the real version was that he got stuck, and that was it. And Cap told him to drop off, so I don't know. It was a whole thing.
Turns out when you've been on ice for 80 years, your memory's not perfect.
You get a little dumb in the brain pan. So he's, like, going around, he's all confused and stuff, and he gets attacked by Crossbones, who, like, he's still hallucinating, so Crossbones, like, wipes the floor with him, and Crossbones is like, this sucks, I'm gonna leave, and just leaves, that's it.
Because it's too easy for him. He doesn't want to kill Cap like that.
Kicking the crap out of Captain America, and he's like, this isn't right, I should be getting beat.
Which is,
I guess, it's like wrestling where you put yourself in a headlock for the other guy.
I guess that's somewhat honorable for Crossbones. He's
I mean, it's fine. I don't know what his whole thing is outside of the movies, but he seems like an honorable-ish kind of guy.
He likes shooting things.
Maybe not even honorable. Just he's in it for the sport, and there's no sport in beating up a guy who's hallucinating about a 16-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever. So and this whole time we're getting, like, little scenes with, like, Nick Fury and Sharon Carter, Steve's on and off girlfriend, and they're, like, slowly figuring out who Winter Soldier probably is. And they know who it is, and when you know who it is, then it's pretty obvious why they're like, oh my god, it's this person. We can't tell Cap yet.
It will destroy his world.
Yeah, and it does. Like, halfway through the storyline, Winter Soldier kidnaps Sharon Carter. Kills Jack Monroe, who was Bucky in the 1950s, but he had, like, a form of the super soldier serum that made him go crazy, and then he got better, and he has, like, a whole backstory. I don't really care about it.
Yeah, there was a whole issue just covering his mental...
His descent. To madness.
Yeah.
He becomes, like, a crazy alcoholic before Bucky murders him.
It's pretty sad.
And frames him for the crimes.
There's a couple of scenes where he beats up what he thinks are drug dealers, and then you see that it's just a couple of random people.
It's just people, and then it turns out who he thought was, like, a drug dealing syndicate was just a guy selling ice cream to kids. So he blows up, like, a bunch of Philadelphia and, like, frames this dude for it, and Cap sees him, and Cap's like, Bucky? And he's like, who the hell is Bucky? And it was, like, heartbreaking.
And at that point is where the similarities with the movie begin and end.
That whole scene.
Just that line.
Yeah, because I mean, the movie also had like the origin of Crossbones, where he's like a little short guy that tries to beat up Captain America in an elevator.
Wasn't he just a guy? Like it wasn't really an origin story.
Well, I mean, he got burnt up. That's about it. Because he's gonna like be Crossbones in the next movie.
Okay, and he's gonna be a burn victim who needs a mask.
He's got a mask. And he's got like things on his arms that are like
bones.
They're like it's okay. It's like a metal thing that comes out from his fist and just ends in like a flat surface. So it's like a hammer to just punch people with.
It's like if Wolverine had a hammer instead of claws.
Yeah, like in The Boys, Groundhog, where all he could say was "gonna," and he would drool all the time.
Yeah, I remember. That's how I see Birdman.
Hawkman?
No, Hawkman.
Birdman.
Same guy.
So he finds out that it's Bucky, and Nick Fury gives him like a file. Or no, Alexander Lukin. God damn it. Okay, there's so much to discuss. Right before the Red Skull died, or maybe as he was dying, he was holding the Cosmic Cube, and he used it, like what power was left in it, to put his mind into Alexander Lukin's body. But it wasn't strong enough to take over. He's just in there with him. And he, like, I guess the dude has like fugue states, and he, gets replaced with a Red Skull, who wears like a Red Skull mask.
A lot in this universe, because that's the same thing that happened with Doc Ock and Spider-Man.
Yeah, but without a Cosmic Cube.
With science.
So, and like this whole time, I guess it's Red Skull that's been messing with Cap's mind in this dude's body. And he used the bombings to like power the Cosmic Cube, because that works somehow.
People dying is like Cosmic Cube juice.
It's like candy for the Cosmic Cube, vitamins. So it was all fractured and stuff. Now it's like complete, and he can use it for whatever. And he uses this source of infinite power to place a file in Captain America's apartment. Like he could have just put that knowledge directly into Captain America's head if he wanted to. But he's like, no, you get to read a file. I'll wait 4 hours. So he reads the whole issue is like presented as, it's like 1-page pictures, but they're all, like different things happening throughout the page. So it actually looks really cool because it's not panels. And it's
you know how I feel about pages that don't have panels. We just went over this.
And it's like explaining the Winter Soldier's his whole history from dying to now. And it's basically like he was used, like they brought him back to life, gave him CPR because he was frozen for hours or days or whatever. But because he was frozen, when they thawed him out, his body had basically just died because he was preserved. So they used CPR and brought him back to life, and he had enough brain damage they didn't know who he was, but he could also totally kick ass. So they retrained him as a Russian spy who could like get into American places because he acted like an American. Talked really loud about guns and football, wore cowboy outfits.
I don't really see how that would be so much more effective than just a Russian guy who did a little bit of research.
Who doesn't have brain damage.
Yeah. I feel like Bucky's more of a liability that he could slip back into Russian or something with his brain damage.
That, and also, like, he grew up on an army base. What if he runs into someone who went there? And they're like, oh, Bucky Barnes, you're supposed to be dead.
But he's not going by Bucky Barnes, and I doubt anyone would recognize him. Well, no, I guess he did start early on, in like the 50s, right?
Yeah, and at that point he was, like, he still looked like he was 20.
Yeah, alright, so yeah, someone could have recognized him.
And they gave him a sweet metal arm, because his arm came off in the explosion.
Wait a minute, the Bucky I knew didn't have a metal arm. Who are you?
You're okay, stranger. So it's like his whole backstory, and they basically, when they put him on ice, I'm trying to remember, because like they basically kept him out for like 5 years, which I guess was like training and doing wet work, and then something happened. I guess maybe he like started to remember who he was a little bit, and they started like putting him under like between missions. So he didn't, he like didn't age much in like 20 years, and then the dude who found him, he was dying, so he like in his last years he just kept the Winter Soldier as like his bodyguard.
And this is Karpov, the guy that
Karpov,
the guy that worked with Captain America during the war.
Yeah, and like at the Cronus village, which is where he met Alexander Lukin.
He wasn't like an evil guy at the time. He was just kind of a dick.
He wasn't evil. He was just Russian.
Yeah.
In the 40s.
He was just America's vision of a Russian. Which he did kind of look like. He looked like Lenin. So there's that.
Maybe he secretly was.
Maybe.
So he like kept Bucky with him for so many years, like 3 years before he died, and then after that they just discontinued the Winter Soldier program and just kept him on ice until the Winter Soldier storyline in the present when he kills the Red Skull. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of his history there.
Yeah, probably, but I can't help because I haven't gotten back to that part yet.
But it's good. Like that whole issue is really good. Like for an issue that is basically just pictures with like just large boxes of text, it's really interesting and good if you like Bucky,
and
which I do.
A bunch of documents just stained with Captain America's tears as he discovers the truth.
And then so the whole time, like after that, he knows it's Bucky, and everybody around him is convincing him, like, Cap, you're gonna have to kill him. You're gonna have to kill him, Cap. Cap, you're gonna have to kill him. And he's like, no, he's my friend.
We've got a lot of catching up to do.
So, like, the whole storyline, you're like, oh my god, Cap's gonna have to kill him. And then he totally doesn't. They have, like, this sweet fight. Bucky is, like, doing surprisingly well against somebody who's, like, 3 times stronger and faster than him. And then he, like...
Because he's got a metal arm.
And then he's like, my mission's to kill you. And Cap's like, okay, do your mission. And he just, like, goes on his knees, and Bucky is about to shoot him. And then he, like, totally does shoot. They don't have the whole, like, I can't do it. He straight up tries to murder Captain America. But luckily he dodges, and then someone throws a shield and it hits Bucky. And then he, like, drops the cosmic cube, and Cap picks it up, and that's when he makes him remember who he is.
Fine then, Bucky. Do it. Do you... Oh shit, no.
I didn't think you would. And then Bucky picks up the cube, and he's like, Cap, what did you do? Because he has his memories, but he also remembers everything he did as the Winter Soldier. So he uses the cube and, like, destroys it, but he, like, disappears in a puff of smoke like a stage magician. And Sharon and the Falcon are like, oh, he's dead. And Cap's like, no, he's out there somewhere, based on nothing. Like, there's literally a smoldering spot where he was standing on the ground.
No, here's his hair and fingernails right here.
Several teeth. And it turns out Bucky, like, I guess he destroyed the cube until they decide to retcon that in the future and, reveal that he's had a cosmic cube this whole time. Well, and he, like, went back to the camp that he trained at.
There are multiple cosmic cubes in the Marvel Universe, right? Like, it's not just a singular thing like the Tesseract in the movies. It's
more like an object, like something that you can get
like at a pawn shop
at some point. Yeah.
So then Cap dies.
Does he, though? Does he die?
For all intents and purposes, yes, absolutely.
He absolutely doesn't.
He gets shot multiple times in the stomach.
With, like, a magic gun.
Okay, well, what about the first shot that got him in the back of the shoulder, I think?
Shoulder, yeah.
That was a real bullet.
That was a real bullet. That was also meant for somebody else, and he jumped in the way because he's a goddamn hero.
Yeah. And did he get medical treatment, or was he considered dead after being shot right after that?
No, it's weird. Like, they took him to the hospital, his body turned back into, like, withered, gross Steve Rogers, and then he was just dead. Like, they buried him at sea. It was a whole thing. And then during Captain America Reborn, they went to go get his body from the ocean, and it was there, and then it just disappeared. Because it turned out it was... Okay, the gun was from Dr. Doom, and it froze Steve Rogers at that moment, when he was shot.
See, up until this point, this was, like, just mostly a fairly run-of-the-mill, thriller action story. Like, okay, there's a cosmic cube, that's kind of magic. But other than that, it's been mostly fine, and then it just goes crazy.
So he's, like, stuck in that moment of time when he gets shot, I guess, and they're going to use Sharon to, like, bring him back into step with time. But she, like, freaks out and she breaks the machine, and then just like that's it, like, it's done. And Cap gets sent back through his own personal timeline, like he's relived his own life, like in his head, not in his head. You know what I mean? Like he's there.
It's like the Oscar-winning Ashton Kutcher movie, The Butterfly Effect.
It's like the butterfly effect, except he's not always he can be in control if he wants to be, but if he just doesn't do anything, then that, like, the Captain America there, like his original head, like brain, just goes through the motions, like it does what he did. And the only time he really does anything is he tells the Vision. You know what? We don't even know what he tells the Vision, because it cuts away as he's about to tell him it. He's basically going to tell him a message for Reed Richards in the future. Like, Vision will forget it, and then when they're trying to figure out what's going on with Cap, then he'll remember it and replay the message. But it cuts away right as he's about to say what he's going to say to the Vision, and it cuts in as the message finishes when they see it in the present. So I don't know what he actually said.
Yeah,
just a lot of screaming and temporal madness.
That's why they cut it out. It's mostly just...
It was really sad. So basically, like, Red Skull's whole plan is he's going to bring Captain America's body to the present, and he's going to put his brain in it. Because he had a Captain America body before, and then Winter Soldier shot it. So now he's got another one. He's got a second chance with that, his arch enemy's body, to do whatever he pleases with it.
He's really used to the way that his body feels, and, like, you know, he knows every mole and every curve of his dick.
I wonder if he ever jacked it. That'd be, like, weird.
Yeah, probably. He's technically human.
Because that's like his arch nemesis.
Well, it's not like he feels it. It's not like Cap is off in the distance somewhere, like
but I mean,
feeling
like,
a phantom masturbation.
But like if he touches it, that's not his, you know? Because he was alive for a long time before he had that body. He knows exactly what his penis feels like. So every time he goes to piss, it's going to be like, what the? Oh yeah.
I think it'll take a week tops to get over that.
Unless they had, like, pretty much the same junk.
Huh. Imagine that.
We're not so different, you and I. So yeah, his whole plan is, like, he's going to put his brain in his body. And he does, and he's just really messing up Bucky's day. He cuts off his metal hand, luckily the metal one. And Cap is in his head, fighting the Red Skull. I don't know what was technically happening, because this is just like...
Captain America's just standing there going...
like a little bit. Bucky's like, Cap, are you okay? This is real disturbing.
Shut up, Bucky. So having me a brain fight.
He wins, and Red Skull goes back into a robot body, because Alexander Lukin got killed by Sharon Carter, of course. And then he grows to, like, 60 feet tall, and they still win. And then the Red Skull's just sort of dead now. Until he's not.
Yeah, until he comes back and takes Professor X's brain.
Well, that Red Skull was a clone of the Red Skull from the 40s. I know, right? Who has, like, been in stasis this whole time.
At that point, it's like, when that kind of stuff happens, do you even really need to make the plot more convoluted and add in, like, clones and other versions of people? Like, it can be the same person. We can suspend our disbelief that much. I'll believe it's the
and
same
his daughter
Red Skull.
becomes the new Red Skull in that interim time, because her face gets all burnt up.
Yeah. So she looks like a Red Skull.
Yeah, because it runs in the family.
Was the Red Skull... Is that, like, just kind of sometimes his story that he has an actual red skull for a face, and sometimes
the original
it's a mask?
one? The original one was a mask. When he was in the Captain America clone body, I guess in, like, the 90s or 80s or whatever, up until Winter Soldier, it just looked like Steve Rogers. But he had this. It was like a poison gas, basically, that he. I want to say that he used it like a cigarette, so he would, like, blow it in people's faces, but I might just be confusing it with Metal Gear Solid 3, where you have that, like, knockout gas cigarette. Anyway, he would blow this gas into people's faces, and it would make the skin shrivel up and go red, and they would die, but they would look like a Red Skull. And he tried to use it on Captain America, and it somehow got back into his own face. So, I'm assuming because it was a super soldier body that he lived, but he ended up with a Red Skull face.
And somehow it looked exactly like the mask he used to wear.
It looks better than the mask. The mask looks like garbage because it has lips.
Ugh.
Like, at least, I'm pretty sure that the original one just had teeth, which somehow he could talk through and, like, drink stuff. And actually, you know what? He was drinking, like, bourbon or something
And
right
it
before the Winter
spilled
Soldier
all
killed him.
down his
Yeah,
face.
it was just all down his chin. So that was funny.
It
I
was
was
a
like, why not
mess.
go the full Monty and, like have him talk like an idiot? If you're going to show that.
Oh, Captain America,
Octung!
we again. Yeah. So that's pretty much that story.
So that's Captain America.
That's all you need to know about
And then,
Captain
and then
America.
Bucky, like, Steve comes back, but he lets Bucky be Captain America still. For, like, the same reason that I think he should be, because he deserves it more. And Steve's like, I'll just be Steve Rogers. And basically wears what he wore in Captain America 2 without the helmet. Like, that costume was literally his Steve Rogers Super Soldier costume, but he wore a helmet in the movie. And he doesn't wear, like, a mask when he's Steve Rogers in the comic. And now it's like what Nick Fury Jr. wears. It's a whole thing. That costume has seen a lot of dudes inside of it.
Nick Fury Jr., who is just Nick Fury, just a Samuel L. Jackson Nick Fury.
Yeah, but younger.
Yeah.
And his name was Marcus Johnson before that. And he's not the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. either. He's just like a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Because is Maria Hill still the director?
I think she was. Yeah, I think she is.
She was. It was.
She was in Uncanny X-Men. I know that much.
Who? Maria?
Maria, yeah, because
Yeah, I think it
comes to her.
back from AZ back to Maria.
Yeah.
Um.
I usually don't care about what's going on in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, me neither.
No superpowers.
And Coulson, who they call Cheese in the comic.
Why?
Apparently that's his nickname.
Why?
I have no idea. It sounds gross. So Bucky stays on his cap for a while, and then he, like, the media finds out who he is, and that he was the Winter Soldier also. So they, like, put him on trial, and it's like a whole thing where it's like, he was mind controlled, and everyone's like, he wasn't mind controlled, and it's like, there's aliens and literal gods living among you. Why is that so hard to believe that he was... Like, that happens to every other superhero, like, every week.
That's
they get
true,
mind controlled.
But I would assume that in this world where those things exist, that's probably also a really common excuse. Like, every time someone does a murder...
that for, like a common murder or, like, a thief, and they're like, I was mind controlled. It's like, okay, dude. But if friggin' Captain America says it, then it's probably true. Like, if it's someone in that realm... Not just like a dude. Then it's
if you're already trusting him to save the world, he's probably right. Come on.
So he goes on trial, and they basically it ends with them finding him guilty, but also calling his sentence time served. So, which I don't even know what that means. I guess it just means he has 20 years in prison on his record, but he didn't actually serve it.
He was in a mental prison.
For more than 20 years. And then, like, right when it's, like, all happy and Bucky's wearing, like, a terrible turtleneck, these Russians show up, and they're like, oh, well, we already convicted him in lieu of... because he wasn't there, so we whatever. And we're extraditing him to Russia to put him in a gulag.
To a gulag.
So that's what happens. Like, they don't... There's no, like, loophole. Like, Nick Fury doesn't show up and be like, nope. It's just like, okay, I'll go to Russia. And after that, he escapes during Fear itself, and it's like, oh well, it's you're too tarnished now, and you can't be Captain America. So he puts the costume on one last time during Fear itself, and Sin, Red Skull's daughter, who now has one of the hammers of the mighty or the worthy or whatever, murders him pretty much, and then he dies, and then Steve becomes Captain America again.
Okay, I haven't read that, so...
Oh, well, spoilers.
I was unfamiliar with that. I did not know that happened.
And right after that is Winter Soldier, where it's been a while since I read the issue. It's like issue Fear itself, issue 7.3. It's like, but it's collected in the Winter Soldier story. It's just like I can't remember if it's that he did die or that he was just barely not dead. Either way, they gave him some of Nick Fury's Infinity Formula, so he came back to life. Totally fine. But he's, like, letting everyone believe that he's dead, and he's just being the Winter Soldier again. But, like, a good guy. Like, Nick... you know what? By, like, issue 3, everybody knows that he's alive again. So, like, there's not really any point in him staying secret, because, like, he's teamed up with Black Widow, he's taken missions from Nick Fury, everybody at S.H.I.E.L.D. knows he's alive, Steve Rogers knows he's alive, I'm pretty sure the Falcon does, Victor Von Doom finds out, every villain that shows up finds out, Wolverine and Hawkeye, I'm pretty sure... It just like, everyone knows he's alive, so just make him Captain America again.
Yeah, but he's been tarnished.
You know what? There's one weird thing. I only read the first 5 issues, but I have it all, so I'll actually be reading it this time when I get to it. It is really good. It's like Metal Gear Solid the comic, but good, because Metal Gear Solid the comic sucked.
Oh, there was a comic?
Yeah, it was garbage.
Did Kojima write it, or some...
I mean, it was adapted, so it's basically like everything that was in the game, plus extra crap. And the art's just complete garbage. It's like watercolors.
Like Alex Ross. Oh, he's good.
He's an actual painter. Watercolors is not painting. Shut up. Though actually in that Descender, that's the art's pretty good in that. That's all watercolors. But that's because the art under it is good. Whereas this art is, like, everything is just looks like crap. It's just so scratchy and terrible.
I'll take your word for it.
So, what was I saying? Winter Soldier. Before I said it was like Metal Gear Solid, I had something I was saying.
What did you say was like Metal Gear Solid?
Winter Soldier storyline, or the Winter Soldier comic by Brubaker. I don't remember, but it was good. It's just like an espionage comic, and then it ended, or he left it with like issue 14. And it continued for like 5 more issues, and then it got canceled.
Have you read any of Velvet?
I haven't. I haven't read any of his newer stuff. I read like the first 2 storylines or so of Fatale, and then I just kind of dropped it. And I do want to read Criminal at some point, because they re-released all of that through Image.
Yeah, I was definitely interested in Velvet, because it's basically the same whole team that did most of this Captain America, Brubaker and editing. Yeah. So... hopefully that will be good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all good. It's Brubaker.
Yeah.
I haven't known him to write a bad comic yet.
I'm not sure if I've read anything of his other than all of this Captain America.
I've got his Daredevil, so I'll be able to read that at some point.
Yeah, I've only read Mark Waid Daredevil, which is
I'll
not
get my last volume of that on Wednesday.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Dane's wearing his I'm Not Daredevil shirt.
'Cause it's true, shut up.
Alright. I think that's all the time we have for today.
Yep.
Bye.
Later.